Hi, I'm Raja Ramachandran, co-founder and CEO of Ripe.io. We're really honored and grateful to be one of the 20 finalists at Grow New York. At Ripe.io, our mission is to create a more transparent and accountable food system by enabling supply chains to connect, view, and improve the breadth of data that are being shared. We call it the blockchain of food. Our food supply chain is under heavy strain, resulting in major problems like waste, fraud, and recalls. But this is also a wake-up call representing a massive opportunity to fix the food supply chain. It is valued as a $700 billion opportunity over the next decade to revamp supply chain infrastructures, efficiency, and collaboration, all the focus of the Ripe.io solution. At a simple level, this is how our food system looks today. The problem is that these shareholders are often disconnected from each other, making information sharing across the supply chain nearly impossible. We solve for that with the transparency with Ripe.io. For example, farmers need a more uniform and less burdensome way to connect to the supply chain. For manufacturers, they need to count for commitments to farming practices, animal welfare, and labor. Logistics companies are often the ones responsible for connecting these producers and their data to buyers. Distributors are faced with the growing food safety regulations and demand for more transparency and traceability. And for retailers, there's a huge demand for information, not only about food safety, but quality and value. And above all, consumers need to be able to trust from those who they buy food. The Ripe.io platforms helps all of these stakeholders collect, share, and organize data to create a single trusted record over the blockchain. We are a rapidly growing company and kicked off 2018 serving three major paying customers. We built off that momentum in 19, expanding our service to a number of cross-section of customers, including suppliers, distributors, government agencies, and retail. And in 2020, as challenging as it's been, has been a year of converting pilot customers to our core offering, which is software as a service, now representing nearly 30% of this year's revenue. The value our customers receive stems from what a trusted shared digital record of food can do: better insight and efficiency, lowering costs and enabling new business opportunities. For example, using our technology, Sweetgreen found they could predict flavor of ingredients in their salad. For the National Pork Board, they're validating their We Care sustainability program for their producers. Our partner Neogen can place DNA and genomics information onto cattle shipments, improving the quality assessment of the herd. And our major citrus grower, Limones, creates full digital records of their farming and distribution practices to share with major US customers, helping them sell more. And we believe this is the future of food storytelling for consumers. Here, Sweetgreen used the data from our platform that the farmers shared with them and used technology and science to identify why Sweetgreen beets taste the way that they do. Our customers get several products. Our first is Ripe Tracker, which is our food track and trace feature. Ripe Quality, which provides insight into the life cycle and process of food. And Ripe Enterprise, which includes advanced analytics such as food flavor prediction and an ability to automate data collection and usage for our customers. So how do we make money? We're a software as a service provider to manufacturers, distributors, retailers, brands, and food service with monthly subscription fees ranging from $3,000 to $10,000 per month for terms up to 2 to 3 years. Smaller farmers are not charged as we want to encourage their participation. Another revenue stream is that we charge a data transaction fee, which is a fraction of a penny per pound in shipments against a specific unit of food, like a single cow. And for complex implementations, we do charge professional services fees. The good news is we now have 5 SaaS agreements in place, with 4 of them on data transaction fee schedules showing real customer validation of our business model. And this leads to a repeatable and scale path to generate $100 million in recurring revenue within the next 5 years. This year, with COVID and one of the worst economic downturns, we're still able to book just over $2 million. And in 2021, we add our data transaction revenue stream, which is our real engine of growth. Our execution focus is growing shipments and food quality data onto the platform as a result of our customers adding their ecosystem partners onto Ripe.io. Future revenue will come from new applications, analytics, and financial transactions conducted over the platform. Our key competitive advantage is having a full farm to fork platform delivering shared digital records on food quality. There are other blockchain providers like IBM's Food Trust Provenance.org that focus on traceability, but don't capture and analyze the rich pre and post harvest information necessary to understand food ingredient quality. There are also existing software applications like FarmLogic on farm data management, but they're standalone systems not connecting the full supply chain like we do. To move on, we serve global and local food companies, and we really care about local farming. I'm now going to turn it over to my colleague, Hannah Layton, who'll describe the work we're doing within the New York food system in response to COVID and how this competition can help us expand those efforts.
Thanks, Raja. This past April, we beta launched a new tool called Ripe Community in Delaware County, New York, in response to the supply chain disruptions we were seeing at the beginning of the pandemic. Created in collaboration with a number of organizations that are supporting local agriculture and food businesses in the area, this shared free directory combines information about grocery stores, restaurants, farm businesses, beverage stores, and others, and can be updated in real time by the businesses themselves. This means customers have access to more accurate information about hours, locations, products available, and food safety precautions being made, while simultaneously lifting some of the administrative burden off of those support organizations. With COVID highlighting the need for more flexible, transparent, and local supply chains across the food system, we began working with the Center for Agricultural Development and Entrepreneurship shortly after that initial consumer-facing phase was launched. We're working with CADE to build out capabilities right now for K through 12 schools so that they can find local food that meets their requirements as well. This is around things like insurance, food safety, distribution, and bid timelines. This phase is set to launch at the end of 2020 and will also demonstrate what it looks like to add future personas to the platform, including processors, distributors, and food hubs. One of the really great benefits of being a part of this competition and being a Grow New York finalist has been getting introduced to a number of food supply chain businesses across the Grow New York area. With the expansion of Ripe Community, we're really looking forward to leveraging the Ripe.io blockchain platform to build out ledgers that businesses throughout the Grow New York region and beyond can use to create full digital supply chains that meet their needs and values.
As discussed, our Ripe Community project is underway in New York. The first award level allows us to focus our hiring and execution to accelerate Ripe Community in the Grow New York region. A $500,000 award allows us to hire additional skilled people with experience in software, supply chain logistics, and sustainable farming to better integrate the Ripe Community app into the Ripe.io platform. We could also use the funding to expedite marketing efforts to food supply chain companies and public institutions on how they benefit from a transparent digital food supply chain. The indirect effect on job creation could be significant for New York State. At the highest award level, we see creating $1 million revenue stream and adding jobs all around the idea of implementing a public-private collaboration for a blockchain of food in New York. We are very proud of our diversity and skill sets in our people. Our management team has deep and extensive experience in technology, blockchain, food supply chain management, farming and ag, food science, finance, and entrepreneurship. Our investor and board member, Maersk Growth, is the venture arm of one of the largest global logistics companies committed to solving for food waste. Our top-notch advisors provide valuable guidance in the areas such as IoT, agricultural sensors, sustainable farming, and food technology. To conclude, we are a rapidly growing food technology company of which our business model has been validated by many customers, large and small. Our management team comes from a world of scaled business and proven experience in its execution. The Ripe.io platform has proven it can boost efficiency, enables customer innovation, and better connects the food supply chain to reduce growing problems of waste, recalls, and fraud. And it's important, our customers use our innovation to rapidly meet the goals of a more sustainable and environmentally friendly world. And innovation is at the heart of what we do. We employ the latest in digital and connected technologies such as blockchain and IoT and artificial intelligence to meet our customers' needs for a digital food future. Ripe Community has already made a mark in a small region of New York this year. And with the pandemic, the needs for a better connected digital food supply chain is utterly necessary for the future. With an award, we can accelerate and expand Ripe Community in the Grow New York region. This will absolutely lead to new job growth, not only from Ripe, but indirectly from universities, farms, food and agricultural businesses, and government. And all this happens because of our passionate, smart, devoted team. We really appreciate your consideration of RIPE for a Grow New York reward, and thank you.
Well done, RIPE.io. Well done, Raja and Hannah. Now we're over to our judges for 10 minutes of Q&A. Zoe, I think you're first up.
I am. Good afternoon. You're both doing well. Thank you again for coming to pitch. I am admittedly not a blockchain expert, but I guess my question is, there have been a multitude of companies that have come up in this space in blockchain and traceability for food and agriculture over the last 5 years. And I know you had that slide about what makes you different, but can you talk to us a little bit more about that and give us a little bit more detail around why you think RIPE is different than some of your other competitors?
Thanks, Chloe. I'll bring up the slide. And so there's three things that I think that are at the root of what gives us a competitive advantage and why. So number one, we have spent really the past several years focused on pre and post harvest information from the farm. And we've actually managed to look at and grow what we call a food library. It's a data library of almost over 750 attributes that describe literally everything about the food. So that gives us a lot of knowledge so that we can correlate what actually constitutes quality. Sweetgreen, for example, used it for flavor prediction. We use it for benchmarking sustainability. So we've learned quite a lot so that we can actually leverage that data into this. The second aspect of what we do is create interoperability. We're currently working with IBM Food Trust, SAP, and a group called Food Logic IQ, backed by GS1, data standards global firm, to figure out how it is that we talk to each other, right? One blockchain system to another, so that it doesn't matter which system that you choose, we should be able to go ahead and pass information. And so we're leaders in this space to ensure that you have interconnectivity to supply chains, technology, and so on. And last is our team. Honestly, I like that's one of the greatest reasons why we've been able to establish a thought leadership position, probably move as far as we have in terms of our scalability, our revenue sourcing, our prospecting, and value, right, to each stakeholder in the entire supply chain. So in that sense, to wrap that up, I mean, we beat IBM 4 times in the past couple of years for a deal. So we feel that we actually have, the technology, the people, and a model that actually keeps us competitive.
Thank you.
Cool, excellent. Laura Peterson, I think you're on second.
Yep, thank you. I'm the farmer here in the group, and so I noticed, all this stuff starts there. I'm familiar with Sweetgreen. I'm also familiar with the pork industry. What kind of information does the farmer have to enter? How difficult is that for him or her to do? And how much time is that taking? We don't have extra IT people or any IT people on the farm, and some of us are not, really adept at all the social stuff that goes on online. So I just how does that work?
So I'll give one answer. I let Hannah also answer as well, because she actually spends times with farmers literally solving for that problem. So I've heard that question almost daily. And, we do empathize with farmers about being asked to put in information. So your first question was about what kinds of information. It goes back to that data library that we have. We literally have a descriptor of almost 750 items about virtually anything in the farm supply chain. And so in that sense, what we do is we work with you to figure out what information do you want that you have, and also what information do you want to share. And so that library, that sort of large sort of swath of data that you can have is the first step. The second, in terms of what we try to focus on is ensuring that when you put information in once, it goes to your money resources that are meant for you to go in, so you don't have to log into multiple systems ultimately to get there. Sorry about that. I can't anyway. And then in terms of third, electronically, what we've done is tried to be completely agnostic about how we take in data. Whether it's you send us a spreadsheet, you web form it. We've even tried out vocal systems or audio systems where you can voice in, your data. I think the important part, the driver, is does it get to all of the different points that you have? And in the future, when we're interoperable with other systems, you'll actually have a better dispersion of your data overall. I might let Hannah give you kind of a bird's eye view of what it really is like with our farmers.
Thanks, Raja. Thanks for that question, Laura. Part of my role at RIPE is to work with a value chain or supply chain once we start a project to understand what their existing data collection methods look like, what their capabilities are to add new systems to what they're already doing, and then work from there. So we're pretty adaptable in that way. And just to clarify, you definitely don't need to give us 700 data points to participate in our platform, but rather, it's sort of based on the project and the supply chain. So it could be something as straightforward as just a project that's tracking point of origin, which sounds so simple, but for a longer supply chain that might be going through, a processor, multiple distributors, and on to a wholesale customer, knowing exactly where that product came from, originated from, and maybe something like the ownership structure, that could be something that's really valuable. There are more robust projects we've done that look at growing practices. We've done projects around cheese making where we're looking at much more nuanced production practices and looking at how that impacts the supply chain. But actually, one of the the reasons why we felt really comfortable and excited and ready to make RIPE Community is because we had been thinking about these onboarding tools in our normal projects for so long, and really looking at what do the spreadsheets or the clipboards or the data management systems that farmers are already using look like, and how can we sort of streamline that so that onboarding farmers is as easy for them as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Laura. So Mary Shellman, do you have a question for RIPE.io?
Right. So Hannah, I wanted to follow on to what you were just talking about with RIPE Community, because that is, you called that out in the pitch and the application, and I'm just not quite clear what that is. And you made a statement earlier on, like, we're not even charging small farmers to use this. Can you define a small farmer? Can you talk to me specifically about, what is special about this aspect of it? And, is it a social enterprise, or is it something that's actually a revenue generating part of the business?
Yeah, thanks, Mary. Those are all really great questions. So RIPE Community is something that we put together really quickly at the beginning of the pandemic because we were noticing a handful of gaps that we thought our tool could address in giving people the information that they needed to find food in their community. And those things are that we wanted the businesses to be able to update their information in real time, which leads to more accurate information and a distributed sense of ownership. And it also lifts the burden off of, the Chamber of Commerce, Cornell Cooperative Extension, Center for Agricultural Development and Entrepreneurship, these kind of network organizations that we were working with who are all looking to get this information to their networks. The second is that it combines information about multiple types of food businesses. So if I want to look for milk, then I can find milk at a regional grocery store, at a local farm, at a restaurant that's shifted to selling CSA shares out of their walk-in, or at the farmers market. So we're seeing these blurred lines between different parts of the food system, and felt like, why can't all of that information be in one place? And then the third, which is what we're sort of building out now, is that we wanted it to be multi-directional, so that not only can consumers, or what we're doing now is working to build out a module for schools, not only can those buyers see where the food is, but also the farmers and producers can see where the markets are, and that's all happening in one place. And so what we built, what started as this kind of scrappy tool that we thought would be short-term and addressing an emergency need, really uncovered this growing need to have a food systems map that allows us to make data-driven decisions about supply chains we want to build. So that directory at its foundational level will always be free. We know that farmers, K through 12 schools, as we start to think about food banks, these are people that are often overworked and under-resourced, and we don't feel like locating food that aligns with your values in your region should be something you have to pay for. What then happens is that on top of that directory, when we can start layering on tracking projects or reporting projects or automation, or Raja can talk a little bit more about what gets layered on top of that information, but that's when the Right-by-O structure would come in and there would be a cost.
I'll be brief, Mary. Yeah, think of Community as really an app that sits on top of the ledger system. And in a way, it's our first foray to showcase how developers can actually create apps that sit on top of the blockchain for all the tools we have around tracking and quality and business rules automation.
Great. Thank you, Right-by-O. Thank you, judges. Very well done.